I'm here with Richard Milford, one of the greatest players in Clemson history. Well, at least he's in the top, I don't know, 200 of the greatest players in Clemson history. But we're tennis guys. You see in the background the Monte Carlo Country Club, and Richard, say hello. We also
Hello.
have Pierce Hobbs on here, who is our triumvirate.
Glad to
So,
be here. Glad to
Richard,
be
tell me
here.
something about yourself
Oh
in
gosh.
terms of tennis.
In terms of tennis,
Yes.
tennis is just such a great sport. It's been extremely valuable asset to me in terms of really everything. In terms of the fitness and the kind of the pursuit of excellence that you need to have. Learned a lot about persistence and sportsmanship, companionship, camaraderie. It's just a great sport, a great recreational activity. It's really just been fantastic for me in terms of also social connections and that sort of thing. But tennis has just been really a wonderful sport for me.
He's was really a good player and grew up in Memphis, and he could probably tell you about Tommy Buford or Mel Purcell or
Yeah,
Malachi Washington or
right,
a
right.
lot of different people. But
Yeah, the thing that I think I've gotten the most out of really from tennis has been the relationships. When you're playing junior tennis and college tennis, you meet a lot of really interesting people, great people. That's I think most, uh, one of the greatest things I've experienced from the tennis now that I'm in my 60s. I really appreciate, the friendships that I had over the years and being able to tell stories, embellished or not, and
embellish or not,
have fun with
you know,
people that I played against and uh, all that kind of thing. Yeah.
what about the time you beat Chip Hooper? You didn't. You've told me about that.
Chip and I
People that
were,
are watching this are going to know who Chip Hooper is. A
of
great.
course, everyone knows who Chip
tennis
Hooper is.
No,
If you grew up
not
playing tennis,
everyone,
and
Richard.
if you grew up playing tennis in the '70s, like we did, Chip was a great
Chip
player,
Hooper.
and he and I were on the same trip to Europe one summer,
Really?
tennis Europe, and we were in our 15, 16 years old, and we traveled around Europe and played, I think 5 or 6 different tournaments, and he and I played in I think the semifinals on a clay court in Spa, Germany, of all places, or Spa, Belgium.
Spa.
And
You beat him there.
it was on clay, and I beat him on clay. So
You beat Chip Hooper on clay.
I did.
That's interesting because he was a big power player, but he learned to play, and he told me by really being consistent to win matches and not just be a power
Mm-hmm.
player. And because in the 12s, hey, Kerry. Well, Kerry, I'm on live with Richard Milford, the Clemson Tiger, great player from our era, and yeah, he was good. He came out of Memphis. He was a Tommy Buford guy. You remember Tiger Buford? He was kind of your era. But anyway, we were talking about some things, and I wanted to give you a shout because he was telling me that college tennis in that day was very good. Would you agree with that? In the 70s when we were playing, or was it the 80s, or was it the 90s? He played doubles with John Destoons. This is Richard Milford from Memphis, and Tiger Buford came out of there, and Keith West earlier,
Keith West,
and
Gary
before
Albertine
your
before
time,
that.
Gary Albertine, and well, Kerry's a year or two younger,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it would be like nobody out of there after that.
Out of Memphis.
Not out of Memphis.
Weren't too many people after me and Keith and Tiger Buford in terms of the following couple of years. There's kind of a dry spell of players
Yeah.
from Memphis, but
Carrie, not to interrupt, Carrie, but you are on our initial podcast of the Gary Plock tennis show. So I wanted to include you in on that. Yes. My old doubles partner of some note. We won a tournament in Rochester, New York that you never remembered.
oh, you and Carrie did?
Yeah, me and Carrie did.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we beat Acasa and Carlon Nunez, but
Oh,
he doesn't
wow.
remember that.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know we have a good win. And look, anybody standing in the net behind that GP serve was in good shape.
That's right. That's right.
Just picking them off, you know.
Yeah.
Cal Bear.
Gary, I was fun to play with you.
You played you were in California, right?
I played in Berkeley.
Berkeley, yeah.
In 77, 78.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
we
tell
got
them
to
what you did. Tell them what you did. I love to interrupt because it's my own podcast and it's my first one. But tell them what you did on that little spring swing down to Southern Cal.
Well, let's see. Cal had never beat USC. And in that particular trip down to LA, it was 4 matches all. And I was playing Robert Van Hoff for the
Great
win.
player.
And he won the first set, 7-5. We go to a tiebreaker, 9-point tiebreaker. Second set, he has 5 straight 9 points. Anyway,
What do you mean he has 5? You mean he's up 4-0?
4-0.
Wow.
No, wait a minute. Let's
Wow.
not go too fast about that. I mean, come on. Think about it. Come on. Robert Van Hoff is up 4-0 in the which is crazy because it's just, all of a sudden these 9-point tiebreakers. But he was up 4-0 in the tiebreaker at SC.
At USC.
Yes.
Wow.
The crowd was going wild, and it was a big match. We never beat SC anyway. I
Wow.
won 5 points in a row, and I win the breaker, and I win 7-5.
Oh my gosh.
Cal beats SC for the first time ever.
Wow. Wow.
But then on the trip north, where USC and UCLA came north, the year before that, as a freshman, I beat Manson. I was a freshman, and Bruce Manson, I think, was a senior. Anyway, I beat him 5-1 at Cal.
Wow.
Did you play Eddie Edwards that year at Pepperdine?
I played Eddie at Queens.
So it wasn't on that trip. So you beat Manson on that trip at SC.
No. I beat Van Hoff at SC.
Oh, Van Hoff at SC.
And then I beat Manson and Kagan. I beat Manson on Friday, first Kagan on Saturday when they came north.
Wow.
Richard,
Those are
this guy.
Huge wins.
This guy's serving volleys
Yeah.
like nobody's you've ever seen.
I'm pretty sure I saw Carrie play at Kalamazoo.
Oh, you did?
I'm pretty sure I did.
I played there a few years, and God, it was a lot of fun playing with the zoo. I played in the stadium area there
Yeah.
a couple times, and boy, they really packed the people in for that tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, God, that was
What-
I don't know.
Do you remember what years you were at Kalamazoo, Carrie?
Kalamazoo would have been probably 75, 76,
Okay.
77,
Yeah.
something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's when McEnroe and Gottfried and DeLuey were doing their stuff.
Yeah, Godfrey beat Matt 6-11 in 5th.
Yeah.
It's 6-love in the 5th. Godfrey beat Max 6-love in the 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I can't remember McEnroe beating Godfrey. Godfrey always had his number and would rarely lose to anybody. Godfrey would beat Winitsky, Telcher, McEnroe. Just never missed the ball. He was a little bit like Ben McCowan. just automatic, Michael Grant like.
The general.
Consistency. and McEnroe at that point didn't quite have all of his
Right.
weapons together. So, God, that's why Godfrey Pelcher did so well. If they just stick at the ball.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
I live in I live in the.
Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I live in the Detroit metro area, and I go over to Kalamazoo occasionally with my wife to visit her cousin, and we go by the courts. I went by the courts, in fact, this year, and I always look at the champions. And you're right; those during that period, Gottfried was winning everything, and McEnroe was runner-up, and McEnroe and Gottfried played doubles together and won it too. I think that same year that you were talking about, they won it that same year. But I think you might have been a year behind me, because I was in my first year of 16s when I played there in '73. So you might have been a little bit after me. If you might have been a year behind me, maybe.
Hey, Richard, I'm 65.
I'm 65 too. Okay.
Okay.
So we were in the same age. We were probably in the same age division, at least for 1 year.
Richard went and played for Chuck Creasy, and his dad was a Clemson graduate too. And anyway, he was the same age as you and Mel Purcell, and he played in the Southerns and was a top Southern player, I guess 3 years after I was. So anyway, you guys were kind of the same era, but out there in California, it's interesting. California was different. And I always felt bad for the California guys because they had to come to the JDC camp and play on clay, in the challenge matches. And I remember I beat Matt Mitchell and, Tony Graham and these guys, they were great players, much more power than I did, but they didn't know how to play on clay. And it's kind of unfair because, at that time in Southern Cal, Northern Cal, it's a totally different game. Richard grew up playing with Mel Purcell and guys like that, and on the clay and slicing and dicing. And you guys are out there slamming, right, Kerry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, clay was a little bit, especially on 6'5" and it's like being on ice skate for me. Just difficult to move around. But what I really enjoyed is I didn't obviously do very well on it, but I enjoyed playing on it. Was so different, and trying to serve and go in, and just very difficult with the movement. I never went to the French. I never really. I don't think on the tour I ever played a clay court event. Oh, I played Indianapolis 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you played Washington when we were at the Washington Star.
That's
the
right.
qualies.
I played a couple. I actually was playing Beresford in Indianapolis. He won the first set.
Who?
And I collapsed.
Who?
Corrado Beresford.
Oh, you played Beresford in Indianapolis?
Yeah, and they had to take me to the hospital emergency room.
Whoa.
I had the chills, and they had to give me the fluids, and they hooked me all up. It was a pretty scary thing, but it was
really
about 112 degrees that day, 99% humidity.
Wow.
That was Indianapolis in July.
So.
And we were having these long rallies. He didn't miss the ball, and then I just collapsed after the first set.
Wow.
And they got the stretcher out and they hauled me.
Really? I didn't know that, Kerry.
Jeez.
Yeah. That was one of my clay court.
And I got to tell the viewers here that Kerry is a strapping 6'4" or 6'5", Kerry.
6'5".
6'5" guy that's trim and in shape, and And Berzzutti like had this like spaghetti belly. He was like this
Really?
little Italian guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And here's Kerry like passing out on the court, and this guy, he's eating pasta that night,
Well, he was probably used to
Yeah.
playing on clay too, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, exactly.
Exactly.
But that wasn't my proudest
Right.
moment, for sure.
Well, but Kerry, you had a great serve, great volley, and the thing about Kerry that I remember is that Kerry, even though he was big and tall, and he was serving volley, he could really get down on his low volleys, and only a tennis player could appreciate that.
Yeah.
But he get down on it, and he was he was a force. He really was.
Oh, I know.
Gary,
I know.
those are nice words.
Well, it's like like somebody's calling in, but I'm not going to answer the phone because hey, this is a redneck original podcast, okay? But no, I'm serious about that because I said, how can that guy be so agile at 6'5"? Because he could just get down and like knife these volleys. And
6'4", 6'5", he had to.
He just forced the action. He learned to force the action. But like Chip Hooper, who's actually, I have to say that Richard had a win over Chip Hooper in Europe. So
Wow,
yeah, he did on clay. But
it was on clay.
But that's what I enjoyed about Chip is he got so physically strong.
Oh, he did. He wasn't nearly as big as when I played him. He wasn't nearly as big as he was in a few years later. I think he was 15 and I was 16.
Well, Kerry grew up with him in Northern Cal.
Northern Cal, yeah.
Chip and I were God.
Yeah.
But Chip was like a rail, right?
He was, when I saw him on the tour, I didn't recognize him. Just going in, I think the last time I saw him, he was 17 in the sectional, and then I saw him on the tour. He was 50 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
And just massive.
Yeah.
And maybe he was juicing it up in college. But also, sometimes guys like Rafa and these guys, they just have that physique in them, and it takes puberty to get it out of them.
Right.
But I mean, Chip. Now, how is Chip doing, Gary? Have you been in touch? Is he okay? Still in Florida?
Gary slipped out for a minute, but I chatted with Chip. I think it was this time last year when I was here, but Chip, when I saw him a few years later, he ended up coming to Memphis State briefly to play college. And then I think he went to Tennessee with Mel Purcell.
Right.
Or Arkansas. He was at Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Arkansas,
and when I saw him at Arkansas, I hadn't seen him in a while, and he looked like he could be a tight end for some NFL team. He was so big, and I don't know if you remember Mike Gandolfo from Clemson. Well, they both had huge serves, and they played each other when we played the University of Arkansas and Fayetteville. They had an invitational tournament, and Gandolfo, who's from Florida, he could hit 130-mile-an-hour serve, and Chip could hit about 130-mile serve. And they played two sets that went 7-6, 7-6, and Hooper won. But it was literally nothing but serves and maybe one volley. And
Gandolfo had a beautiful serve.
Yeah,
he had a huge serve, and I got to tell you that Chip Hooper, he actually trained his nephew, who is the tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, Hooper from Stanford. Who's his brother's son. Austin Hooper, I think is his name. But anyway, I haven't heard from Chip for a while. But what Kerry told me is when Chip was like in 12 and unders, he was like a rail.
He was.
And Chip told me he learned how to push. And, Kerry, don't you think that's a big thing of learning how to push and to be a good tennis player?
Brad Gilbert was a pit squeak, and but what he did very well is he kept the ball in play, and he was one of the first guys that I ever remember running around his backhand.
Oh, really?
Doing that when he was 10 years old.
Really?
Wow.
Really?
And the next guy I saw doing it was Jimmy Arias.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gilbert was doing it in the 60s. He had no backhand. And Chip couldn't hit over the backhand. So we'd come in on Chip's backhand, he'd throw that Chip lava.
Uh-huh.
But, I think getting that foundation, and then Gilbert grew big and strong. And to have that foundation, is so important in not making errors.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you can throw a big serve in now and then, and Gilbert didn't do or so he can run every ball down. So hard to beat a guy like that.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Then you take a guy like Scott Tanner who didn't have that foundation, who just bomb and serve, and that's the kind of the 180 from that style.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting, these forehands. Chip had a good forehand. Gilbert, Matt Mitchell had a great forehand. Butch Waltz, Billy May.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Mitchell, the thing about Matt Mitchell's game is it seemed like it was cardboard almost. It was like, hey, come in, you hit a forehand volley or a backhand volley, you're turning, which is all the right stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was almost like he was mechanical the way he did.
He was pretty much.
Well,
He beat Tony Graham in the finals of NCAAs that way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but guys back then couldn't break serve, even guys on the tour.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And Raul Ramirez and Brian Godfrey, they couldn't break serve, but they chipped the ball around the court. And Mitchell was so quick and his volleys were so good, Larry Stefanski as well, that you couldn't get the ball by them.
Yeah.
Especially with a wood stick. So
Unless you were really tough, because I do remember taking Larry Stefanski out 2-1, just serving, volleying him off the court. But it was, I lost 100 matches, but that's one that I remember.
yeah, well, Larry got to Cal and wasn't great. He was top 10 in North Cal, but nothing special. But he worked hard.
And he won Newport. Jackie Cooper, my old coach, was coaching him at the time down in La Quinta a little bit. And he won Newport News. Remember that tournament in Newport? He won the tournament.
Yeah. But he always had good volleys, and he was always a very, very quick, very good athlete, as was Matt Mitchell. So these guys would serve and volley. Nothing crazy on the serve, but they'd come in there, and you couldn't get the ball by him. And
He was quick, yeah, and I think that red head helped him a lot too.
That what?
The red head, the racket, the aluminum racket, because he was.
Yeah.
That's the racket he won NCAAs with, where he beat Tony.
Yeah. Well, Tony's not going to break serve, so there you go. And Mitchell was quick enough where he did a little bit of Manicone. He would chip the return and come barreling in. And, if you didn't have really good passing shots or if you didn't serve and volley yourself, excuse me.
Kerry, I think that's the year before you came, because Kerry only did Cal for 1 year, then he turned pro.
Gotcha.
But I think the year before is when Matt Mitchell beat Tony in the finals in NCAAs.
Yeah.
And I think is that right, Kerry? But
No, I played 2 years. I lost to Mac 1 year in the NCAAs, and I lost to Mitchell the second year.
Okay.
Oh, you lost to Mac. I thought you lost. Well, Mac's at 78. That's the only year he played, right?
Yeah.
So you lost to Mitchell the year before.
I lost to Mitchell the year before.
Yeah.
I came back like 3 at Stanford behind McEnroe and Mays, and was so pissed off he could hardly play that year. But so I played.
So you lost to 2 NCAA champions. Nobody's ever done that. You know,
Right.
77, 78.
Right.
Wow.
Mitchell freshman
What
year.
was what was your match with Mitchell like in the
It was a
NCAA?
tight match. 4-4, and it's the first time I'd ever played Matt. And he was a legend in North Cal. He was unbeatable. He beat Jeff Robinson like a dog, 2-2, 2-3.
Rest in peace, Jeff Robinson.
Jeff Robinson.
Great
passed?
guy.
Jeff Robinson.
Jeff
passed?
Robinson was a doctor that died 25 years ago.
Really?
Really great
Wow.
guy. Everybody loved Jeff
I remember
Robinson.
Jeff Robinson.
Los Gatos, California.
Yeah, I remember him.
Like the mad.
Oh, I love Jeff Robinson. Great guy.
But anyway, you know how it is when you get the guys in the age group ahead of you that are ranked number one. You look up to these guys and you're totally psyched out when you play them as
Right.
juniors
Right.
because they're older than you, and so that's what happened. I played Matt, and
Yeah.
I had a great year, and he had a great year, and he
Ask
beat
him
me
a
4-4. But it's just that little psych factor when you play somebody older than you. I think was the difference.
So
But that next year, Mitchell basically tanked the whole year. He played 3.
yeah.
Oh.
And I remember Mays beat him in the challenge match. And Mitchell, Gould had everybody play challenges because he didn't just want to put Matt in one despite winning just to the semis to Wimbledon. So,
Wow.
he said, wow, okay, what do I do? I got a semifinalist at Wimbledon, and then I got the NCAA winner. What the hell am I going to do? So anyway, he had 3 guys, including Bill Mays, play challenges, and Mitchell won the first set against Billy pretty easy. Mays squeaked out a tiebreaker in the second and won the third 6-0 in about 5 minutes.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of Mitchell tanking that whole
Well,
year.
that was Mitchell's mentality. It was like the Gene Mayer mentality, But
Mitchell was so cocky.
Really?
yeah, he was
I
cocky.
didn't know that.
Gene Mayer had the walk, and Mitchell also had that kind of pitch and go walk.
Oh, you're right about this.
So when you got on the tour, what was your best tournament? Who were your best wins over on the tour?
Well, God, I didn't have that many great wins. I beat,
Carey's had wins. He could beat him. But the thing that happened to Carey is an incident that happened with Jim Hodges, who you know.
I know. I found him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And who else was there on the beach? Carey?
Oh, that was Billy Mays and I.
Billy Mays.
Yeah.
And that was in Hawaii?
That was the circuit in Hawaii, and we went out outside of Honolulu, Oahu, and it was late afternoon. We were throwing the frisbee on the beach, and Billy threw one, and I started running for it, and I stepped in a big hole.
Oh my God.
Tore my anterior cruciate ligament.
Oh my God.
I think I was 20 or 21.
Oh my God.
That did me for about a year.
Oh, jeez.
I fell off the ranking list, and at 22, I had to try to come back. Never did much, but that was a kind of a blow because I was cracking the ball pretty well. But
Yeah.
That's the way it goes,
And unfortunately, back then they didn't have as much medical technology, to treat things. And
yeah, I had a good doctor, and by the time I got back, it was a tear in the ligament. So by the time I was playing again, it was about a year, and that's a tough time to lose a year.
it is.
Because I was pretty cocky, and I felt like I could win, play pretty good. And then when I came back on the tour, it was a different feeling. It was like, Jesus, I've lost this year, and now there are all these guys that have, passed you and are playing better. And God, there's a lot of self-doubt then, and you know how it is to win. You guys know you gotta feel like really cocky and really confident to win, and that's a big part of the game.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that feeling, it doesn't matter how good you look you're not going to win the big course.
Right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You have to have that cockiness, I think, underneath. You may not necessarily have to show it.
Look, there are different guys who have a different look. Gene Mayer and Matt Mitchell obviously have the ultimate cocky.
Uh-huh.
And it filters down, but it certainly is a big part of winning matches.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Richard, what are you doing nowadays?
I retired from General Motors the end of 2018. I've been there for almost 30 years. After I graduated from Clemson, I graduated from Clemson in 1980 in engineering, and I worked as a civil engineer for about 10 years. And then I went to Indiana University and got my MBA in finance in 91. And then I got a job with General Motors right after that, and I just stayed there for almost 30 years. I retired when they offered buyouts at the end of 2018, and unfortunately, it was right before COVID. But I guess I'm glad I wasn't working. Didn't have to work during COVID. But I've been enjoying retirement and trying to stay fit, as best I can. Where did you do after tennis?
Hey, he's been. I'll tell you what he's done. He was the head guy at Tiburon Country Club up there where Clint Eastwood lives.
Oh yeah,
all that area up there, and he was like the head director of a very nice club. And
nice.
By the way, is Vic Satius still living? Is he still alive?
He's still alive.
Wow.
I think he's now 100.
Jeez.
Carrie, get a couple rackets and try to get him to sign them before he dies.
Gary, I'm going to do that. I'm back in town now for a few weeks from Oregon, but I was going to ask you, do you want me to do any kind of interview with him for you?
Just get him to sign your rackets, because those will be rackets that you'll of all the you don't realize this, Richard, but Carrie has, like, you see my rackets around my house, and I have 500 of them or something. Great. Well, he's multiply that by like 20. Okay?
Wow.
Like 5,000. I mean, this guy's got a container. And one of the things, Carrie, that you and I need to do, because at least Richard and I are on video here, and you're not on video, but which is probably a good thing, even though you look better than both of us. Me and Richard need to come out there and stay in that trailer park right across from your thing with his wife Melissa, and just savor the moment.
That's right.
Because this guy, you don't know what Carrie's got. Carrie, I can't believe I'm screwing up my first podcast for something like this. But Carrie, go ahead and tell him what you've got out there, just in a nutshell.
Is he there?
Carrie?
Did we lose him?
Yeah, I guess we did. Well, that's a good way to wind up my podcast. I mean, I guarantee Trey Walkie's going to be looking at this stuff that stuff.
Yeah, I know. I knew of Kerry. I didn't know him personally very well, but I remember seeing him, in the draws and watching him play at some point.
Well, we got to get some videos going. We got to call Or Schneider and see if we can get some of these.
The Bills just intercepted off of a
really?
Steelers bad pass in the end zone.
Well, you want to watch it? Let's watch the game then.
No, it's okay. We can call it.
That's all right.
Yeah, did you ever play?
I've been drinking and cooking
years
today, so.
Kerry was in my
apologies.
age division. I think Kerry was in my age division, now that I think about it.
Well, he was a year younger than you. He was McEnroe's age. So.
Yeah. But he's 65, he said, but he must be Must have just turned 65.
That was the movie pretty good?
Oh yeah, it was excellent.
Really?
I would recommend it. Yeah. There's Trevor in the commercial. Oh, you want to call on my phone?
No, I was just
Yeah,
giving you a
thank you.
phone back. I've been drinking and cooking, so I'm not really that coherent, so. That's okay. It was a good end point, Carrie. Thanks for talking. Yeah, so something like that, if you do like 500 of those,
Yeah.
where you're just bullshitting around with people,
Yeah.
don't you think people like Trey Walkie would like, hey, I'd like to hear what he says about Chris Sylvain?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever. So, I'm going to keep it really loose and laid back like that and totally unscripted.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm. I think it's good that way.
I don't care if I make any money off of it.
Right.
It's
fine.
just like,
Yeah.
it's not out there.
Right.
Well, 14-0.
That's fun, Gary.
Huh?
That's fun.
Is it?
That's a lot of fun. Yeah.
We want to do another one. Maybe we'll talk to Bruce Manson.
I'll sign these.
Oh, did you get a
thing?
did you get a thing?
Yeah, I got a silver thing.
You signed all of them?
Signed all of them, yeah.
Oh, great.
That was fun. Clear skies.
Well, maybe I'll get Pierce to bring his back over.
I can
So you can resign it beyond the front.
This is just two wonderful players. Joe Porter, who had the longest arms in 20 years coming out of the combine, played really well coming out this year. But tall task when you're out there, what a move by Diggs. To be able to stop on a dime like that, and then possibly.
Sorry, voice text. Sleep your powers up this side.
Mitch Morris, center 60, does a great job of splicing. And here's where he went down the previous play. A little
Okay.
I'm thirsty.
Okay.
Around the time that he got to the
Well, no, keep it in your hand. Keep it in your hand. Put one step towards the piece.
The last 9 weeks were the NFL's very emotional team.
We're going to send the Tommy's to send Gary so he knows he's been.
The last 9 weeks in November, they're 1-2 basically in the NFL, and that's the coaching change. It was just like we got to be able to make the game simpler. It's not like the other coaches; they're both really good. It's just that's what happens sometimes. But they made a concerted effort to have the game also
Look at me.
not just put the whole thing on coaching. That's what I think they
Yeah, this guy Kerry Sainsbury, I played doubles with him, and we won a couple of tournaments up north. And then I kind of shoot him for another player, Robert Van Hoff.
Oh, you played those with Robert?
Yeah, and dump carry, I never could have it. He was a great player, sort of baller, 6'5".
Yeah.
Nice guy,
Yeah.
like me.
Kansas City.
This is Richard holding the Kevin Curry Australian Open Finals pro staff
this to say about this rookie.
I can't get rid of the
Pressure
guy.
we did in Indianapolis on the final drive. I mean, you're just so making throws that one of the top players in the league made under.
You know, this one.
I mean that
Oh, okay.
from the defense and from the end of the season. He's here to stay for a long time. To the sideline by Phil Hayes.
Oh, God.
Wow. Josh Allen. 52 yards.
Wow. Okay, throwing the field off.
Yeah, they're going to drill Pittsburgh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How do you know the quarterback? Oh my God.
He saw it.
No, that movie is very inspirational. You know, it's so now he became a director of tennis at a club, and then the club managing the club director.
Yeah. He got the job at Tiburon Country Club, which is one of the big places right around San Francisco area.
Okay.
You know, he used to take lessons at Clint Eastwood, people like that.
Yeah.
Instantly? Even if I don't win a playoff game?
Long career, and then
Even if you don't win a
he
playoff
bought
game. Playoffs?
he had a house that he
Instantly? Are
bought
you
in
kidding me?
San
Who's calling these first
Francisco,
time visits?
maybe in the 80s.
Into 200 hits in the phone space. Plus, get no USA game parlay every day play.
And then sold it for a couple million.
Wow.
They bought this
I didn't serve.
farm
Responsible
out
for grandparents
in
serving the
southern
military. You can join USA.
Yeah.
called Jacksonville, New York City.
The forecast,
You know,
we will get back to the game.
he
Here was
wasn't really
Southeast, just wanted to give a quick update.
But
Now, the significant
these people
flooding that has
started
been reported in
raining
Cape Cod, they have flooded cars. Many
Okay.
people are stranded as they've had
he got
6
water
to 8
runs.
inches of rain with a heavy
And the
downpour,
water runs
fast-moving line of rain.
were-
We officially have a flood advisory in
So
effect
anyway,
until about
he did that, and then he
7:45.
found
Here was
out,
the reason why
you know,
a
gosh,
flood
you
warning,
can
excuse
grow
me, a
pot
flood
or you can
advisory
sell
has been issued.
somebody.
It had
this is the place
big
for
totals,
CTE,
big totals.
oil,
Let's
and
punch up
stuff,
weather one.
and it's
Weather
like
one.
100
As you can see, some of
costs.
these Doppler
And
estimates,
so
especially
you
in
get that,
southwest
Wow.
Cape,
and
all the
then,
way towards
like
St.
in
James
just the
City,
last
Anaya,
year,
Captiva, and Sanibel.
you know,
6
it's
to
like
8
they've gotten
inches of
so
rain.
tough on,
However, I am
you know,
starting to see some progress.
you know,
Let me do a quick time lapse and show you that the end of the heavy rain
where
is starting to
you
depart.
couldn't
Eventually,
throw,
the drainage
you know,
will start to
all
catch
this
up.
stuff.
Now back to the
They
game.
did, and so they built like 2 hard transports.
Yeah.
And you know, it's always been a Pittsburgh and San Francisco, making the guy, and so the 6 hours, no 56 years old. And he's got this one, it's scary for me to come and stay, not with me, but, you know, next to me in the RV. They're just like 100 feet away. And so anyway, but I haven't ever gone. That would be a fun thing to do. You and Melissa, you know, Southern Oregon, I mean, gosh. What's happened?
I don't know what just happened. Did they score yet again?
Did they?
I don't know. I think they just showed the replay. Maybe. Yeah, they're
Well,
they're just showing the replay of his run.
Well, doesn't look like
They look good right now.
Steelers are going to come back from this.
I'll tell you right now, both places are going to think about who you have.
Yeah, but Gary played number one. He went and played number one for Berkeley, right when, after these guys have been playing. The Belgians learns to thank me.
So Cal Berkeley has never beaten USC or UCLA. It's a big 6'5" serving volume type guy. Oh yeah, I remember
California.
I know I've seen him play.
He grew up with Cooper and Brad Gilbert.
Yeah,
Those guys were,
yeah.
Keep them short fields, but Pittsburgh started with the start you wanted, obviously. Turnover.
Well, Brad Gilbert's made a pretty good name for himself as a commentator.
Yeah, he is.
Tournaments.
And I mean, come on, the guy got number 4 in the world. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Because Kerry was always better than Brad Gilbert in the juniors. Yeah, with Chip Cooper and Brad Gilbert, they were always better than Northern Cal.
Makes Rudolph not be able to progress through the play. Because he would have had an open teammate on the left side of the field.
Well, that'll be interesting to see the second game, to see if, maybe there's, Tampa Bay upsets Philadelphia.
Yeah, I hope we end up playing Tampa Bay as opposed to Philadelphia.
Right.
I think Jalen Hurts could do some damage.
That's why I think Philadelphia's going to win that game.
But I don't know. Yeah, the way Stack was playing yesterday, I don't know if I could throw any better than he threw yesterday. They just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. We held them with 3 field goals, inside the 12. They were inside the 12 3 times. And we're only able to get it.
So easy. Keep them in there.
No, don't. Haven't got a guy for 20 years, and then this shows up. Mr. Caveman, we're ready to ask you to participate in the new Geico documentary.
around
No
4.
wonder they don't teach you the house.
We finished eating our lunch around 4.
Oh, you did?
We had something light.
It's so easy.
But,
Your options are on $3 stuff. So try our newest cheesy hello epic stuffed recipe made with the blend of ricotta and mozzarella and stuffed into that Papa John's fresh, never frozen original dough.
We may try to
yeah. Maybe we can get something in.
Yeah. Well, we can go over there if it's not raining.
Yeah.
What have you thinking about? Y'all are really would win.
We need to leave. We need to leave to go there for around 2:30. Our flight leaves at 5:10, so we're gonna leave there at 2:30 to get to the airport.
So you can do anything up to 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna need
Well, let me work on that.
one of these.
For everyone who's enjoyed fantasy, sweet redemption. The Lexus TX, 3-row luxury that treats every seat like the best seat. Larry, to unify people. Words key. You dig? Elementary. that the Steelers won 9 one-score games. That's the most in the league for the Eagles. They lost 4 games by 10 plus. We're down. Roberts on the sideline now. He wants to stay.
Well, here's this game is over.
Well, Jim, I'll get you an update on Roberts as soon as I get one, but Dale Inspector, who's in because Tyrell Dodson is out for the game, he's dealing with a back injury, and he is questionable right now.
Recovery that is not the victory on the challenge for us, but we're not going to get so far.
You talk about the emergence of Cook and how incredible he's been this year. The run game and the pass game, they're all sure they lead, but otherwise, this should have been a loss. And right there, he ends up getting almost 10 more yards after that, and that's why having a guy like him, it's amazing. Difference makers. Also get on the tackle and extend the opposite team's green phase. Johnson goes into the backfield now.
To move the chain.
You okay?
You watch the motion, they have an RPO up, which means you can run, pass, options, go back to sides based on the front of the hand it off.
Potatoes might not be.
Gonna finish every play and he gets it together. Keeps the possession alive.
This doesn't continue.
Pass.
Oh my God. Another long run, I think, by
On the outside, Patrick Peterson is having an incredible career, but look at the space he gives up. And Hardy's got juice, you got to respect the deep left and right there, the foot on the ground. The team's been here all the time and understands how to use it, getting in and out of the break. And Peterson just taking his shot right there. Instead, Hardy uses the juice. It's a huge point for most of them.
It'll be 3 yards for Hardy.
We got the guys in halftime report.
Straight ahead, the JV and all of the group. We'll have their first half analysis. All that's coming up on the Verizon halftime report.
How do you guys like your meat? Rare or medium or well? Oh, medium
medium
rare.
is fine.
Huh?
Medium.
What's best?
I still run the football.
Medium.
Especially since Hayward's on the sideline.
It's in 7. Pass. Make it ahead to Johnson.
These are the little things that we want Josh Allen to have control of the game. We always do. We're a good running team. Hayward's on the sideline. To me, that was a run. Take it to the 2-minute warning. Because now all of a sudden you don't get this. Milford has a real shot.
Early 7.
We talked about this. He's been playing outstanding. What a play there. Hey, you know what? Jay Feely, our specialist. Can they keep this field goal, Jay, from this distance? Where can they take it out to go in this direction?
Going back to 50 was right on the verge. Both kickers kind of struggled going this way in warm-ups because the wind was blowing a little left. But there's not a lot of wind right now. Obviously, we got the cold weather, so the ball doesn't go as far. This is right on that verge going.
49 yards. This is
What happened? I think it was a block punt.
looks like he was injured up there. Jay, for the Steelers this year, is to see Mark Butling's in.
Jay, you said it. They had to have it. You said it for the game.
Had to have a big play. It's right on that verge. It's like, okay, do we need this 3 points? Everything's going our way. We just punt it down there and get them deep.
They blocked the field goal. Steelers blocked the field goal.
Buffalo did,
The Steelers blocked a Buffalo field goal attempt.
but it's still 21-0.
Yeah.
That is big. In a game like this, that was the opportunity Pittsburgh needed. It is halftime. So there's some except for really not frustrated. But talking about the need against special teams, why that was possible is because Jay told us that's right at that moment. So as a kicker, you got to drive that ball low to try and get it there. And it was far too low.
It's like Steelers had another chance to score as a result of that blocked field goal.
They should have ran the ball, gave it 2 minutes. Now you give them away.
Good morning. Today on CBS, the home of 58.
That's me, Gronk. Last Super Bowl, I missed the